All right, hello and welcome to a wonderful budget or cost saving class. We thought we'd give you an idea how you can save some money in your Thermomix. This is an opportunity to see some really quick recipes, things that you can introduce midweek or at a quick lunch, but also all of the recipes that we're showing you today, you can mix and match and you can probably put some in-seasonal ingredients in, and that's where we're really going to save some money. So the opportunity here is to think outside the box. We'll give you the basic recipes. At the end of this class, we'll open it up to some questions, and then we'll also send you through an email. Thank you for registering. So we'll send you through an email with links to all the recipes and any tips or mix shop items that we discuss throughout the class. So without further ado, let me share with you what we're going to make, because you've registered on this class, but you probably do know exactly what we're going to make. So we're going to start with a cheap sourdough bread. Now, if you're buying sourdough in the shops, you know how expensive it is. And not a lot of people are very comfortable with working with sourdough starters and things like that. So this is one that you don't have to use anything like that. And it's one that we've all come across and we really like. In fact, we enjoyed it quite well over the last couple of days because we were together at a Thermomix retreat. So I'm going to share that one with you. So you can bring that together, prepare it 6 hours before or the night before and then cook it. So we'll share that one with you. We're also going to do a Speedy bean and chorizo chili, something that you can use as a side. And I'll get one of our girls, Kay, that's presenting today to talk to you a little bit more about that. I've got the lovely Anne-Marie presenting a chickpea curry. So great for those that are vegetarian. Again, curries come in many forms, but also, going out and buying yourself curries these days are quite expensive as well. We can actually really reduce some prices in when we're working with chickpeas. So Anne-Marie will take you through that. Poke bowls and anything that's coloured that seems to be in sections on a little bowl that costs an absolute fortune when we go out. Kids love it. So we're going to talk to you today about a really quick Hoisin Pork bowl. Again, that can be a beef bowl, a chicken bowl, or whatever you want to be, but how you can bring those flavours together and still be a winner with some of the teenagers that love that type of stuff and keeping the costs down. And then we're going to work with a pasta, like a pasta bake with pumpkin. So again, pumpkin is one of these items at the moment that is really reduced in price. So, putting this type of stuff together and thinking outside the square is about other flavors that you can add in, but also starting it all off and mixing it all together in your Thermomix. So that's what we're going to be making today. So 5 dishes in the course of an hour. We'll try and knock it over, and hopefully we can keep your interest throughout that time. And as I said, this session is recorded. So if you have to step away at any point, you can always watch the recording, which will come back to you in the email that we'll send you anyway. So thanks for joining, everybody, and let's get started. I'm just going to spotlight myself. Okay, great. All right, so I'm just going to turn that off because I've got some pasta boiling in the background. Okay, so we're going to start off with this, the sourdough. And as I said, this is one that we've enjoyed over the last couple of days. It's been great to see the result of it. I haven't been great with my starters when it comes to bread. So when one of the team leaders, Clelia, shared this one with us, I just thought this is a real winner for me. So it's a really simple recipe. I'll be referring to a cheat sheet here because it helps me run through it. And as I said, I've only made it before earlier today and I had one in the oven, but now I'm going to make it again for you live. So it's not a recipe that I've made a couple of times. I've only made it once before. So we go in with all the ingredients at once. So it's about 500 grams of baker's flour goes in. And again, baker's flour is that flour that's got more of a gluten sort of feature to it. The girls will talk a little bit more about it in the chat and where you can buy baker's flour. But baker's flour is the key when you're coming to breads and things like that, not plain flour. It's far too heavy. Okay, so we've got dry yeast. Again, dry yeast is a pantry staple. You can buy it in little sachets or you can buy it in a container that lives in your fridge. We're going for 2 teaspoons of that. Half a teaspoon of sugar and 2 teaspoons of salt. 425 grams of water. So I'm just going to activate my scales to make sure that I've got the right amount of water going in here. Oh, got a little bit over. I'm just going to take some of that out off the top because I can. Perfect. All right. All right. So we've got all those ingredients in. And I'll get that out of the way. And really, it's just a matter of bringing this all together. And we mix it for 2 minutes, 37 degrees. So we're going into manual mode now. So 2 minutes, 37 degrees. And obviously the 37 degrees is going to activate the yeast for us, and on speed 2. So that's going to mix up. And as I said, there's plenty of sourdough recipes that you can find. And if, you know, you have to be living under a rock through COVID to miss out on some of those sourdough recipes. Everybody throughout COVID, I think, tried a new bread recipe. Maybe in the chat, you can share some of the bread recipes that you've tried so that others can learn from you as well. Because I think being part of our community is really important, and sharing is one of those things that we really love to do, hence our classes on a Saturday afternoon. So pop into the chat if you've got your own quick bread recipe or something that you'd like to share with the group. So this particular mix, once it's finished, is a really wet mix, okay? So then we're going to have to let it prove. I'm just going to go and grab a bowl, and I'm going to show you how liquid and wet it is. So cling wrap is your friend here as well. So popping it in the bowl, covering it with cling wrap, and then letting it sit. It should sit for about 6 hours at the very least. But honestly, the word on the street is let it sit overnight. So if you want to bake it for the next day, make it in the evening, let it sit overnight. If you want to make it for the evening, make it in the morning, let it sit during the day, and then just put it in the oven in the evening, okay? So I'm just going to get that going. Who's noticed some of the prices that we're experiencing in some of the shops right now? I mean, like, honestly, I went and did a little bit of a walk through Paris Farm earlier today, and I was quite surprised. Even on their odds section, you know, the prices are still incredibly high. So I think we all want to sort of save a buck here or there. And we've got plenty of ideas that we can share with you. And at the end, I'm going to take you through a little bit of Cookadoo, which is our recipe platform. Because Cookadoo, you can actually put into your filters and in your search budget-friendly ideas or looking for recipes that are budget-friendly as well. So keep that in mind for the end of the class. Okay, so that just took us 2 minutes to mix through. And as you can see, it looks quite liquidy. And you probably think to yourself, look, how is this ever going to turn into bread? But it does. And I was quite surprised myself. It is something that you can cook on a flat tray, but the bread won't rise. So we're going to encourage you today to use what's called the Dutch oven. And a Dutch oven is really just a nice cast iron pot that you can buy where it actually gives you a really good finish. So I'm just scraping the last bits out of my jug here. And that's it. So it's not one of those doughs that you might traditionally be used to with your Thermomix, that you tip it over and you twist the back and it just drops down like your pizza dough and things like that. That's not going to happen with this one. So it's very liquidy. So as you can see here, we're going to just let this just sit in here, cover it with Glad Wrap, and then we'll come back to it. Now I've got one that's just come out of the oven, but it is a bit hot. So I'm just going to let it sit there, and I'm going to break into it and cut it up for you a little bit later. So that's how easy it is to get that particular recipe going. And as I said, what we're going to do is give you the ingredients and the process of that particular cheap sourdough in the email that we send after the class. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our next presenter, and that is the lovely Sharon. And Sharon's going to talk to you about the bowl that I talked about before. So a quick and easy idea, and I guarantee you the teens are going to love this one. I've made it in my home before, and it's been a real winner. So over to you, Sharon. You'll have to unmute, I think.
Hi, everyone.
We can't hear you, Sharon. Technical difficulty. Don't worry, everybody.
It's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live. Hi, everyone. Just to let you know, I'm doing a poke bowl. Poke bowl, I believe it originated from Hawaii, from the Japanese community. Basically, it's just to put together probably whatever you had in your pantry staples, as in vegetables, and probably protein. And usually for Japanese, it's usually raw fish. But I mean, you can create whatever you want. Today, I'm just taking a variation of the Hoisin Pork that was in cookie dough. And I'm going to start off with cooking the rice. And I've chosen to do sushi rice because the rice that I really like is actually a Japanese rice. It's actually not sushi, but it can be used for sushi rice. But you can choose to use brown rice. A lot of people like brown rice. If you're going to do brown rice, soak it overnight or at least 4 hours before you try to cook it. And the cooking time is longer for brown rice. Now, you can choose to cook it in a simmering basket like I am. And that's what I call steaming method. If I'm doing a steaming method, I can actually add a whole bunch of vegetables in here. Today, I've just done bok choy on the top. And I just set it to 20 minutes varoma, and I put it up to speed 4. Now, the reason why I do speed 4 is to push that steam all the way up here, and that will get it really nice and cooked in the basket. And that's all I do for now. And the rest is just plating it up. And I'll show that later. Back to you, Linda.
Thanks, Sharon. With your dish, you've got a protein component. Do you have a protein component to your dish?
Yes, I do. I've done a pork version, which I, instead of the original recipe is with sambal oleg, but sambal oleg, not all kids can eat it. So I've just done a simple stir fry with just garlic and ginger. And because I just like it a little bit picante, I put chili in, but you can opt that out. And because my mom doesn't eat meat, so I've actually sous vide some salmon for her and prep that ready. So you can actually do variations even though you're just one family.
That's great. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, so we'll come back to you then with regards to, you were obviously in a multi-level steaming situation. Rice is cooking and your greens are on the top. We're going to go now to Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie's going to show us the chickpea curry.
Thanks, Linda. I'll wait to be spotlit. Or if you don't like the view, you can look at someone else and listen to me. There I am. Hi, everybody, and thanks for coming along and joining us today. My name's Anne-Marie, and I'm going to be making a chickpea curry. And so basically the brief for today was budget, and this is always the one that comes to mind for me. No iceberg lettuces have been harmed in the making of this dish. So no budget buster, well, my budget was not broken. And everything that's in this is actually from the pantry, except for the ginger, which lives in my freezer. So yeah, it's definitely one of those very, very affordable dishes. I'm using tinned chickpeas today. You can use fresh or you can use tinned if you're one of those people that can wait for 24 hours, 12 hours for your chickpeas to soak. That's great. But I also like the convenience of chickpeas as well. the tinned ones rather. So I'm going to make a start. The other thing I'm not doing today, I haven't told Linda this, I'm not starting with a clean bowl. I actually had to make garam masala before, so I'm just going to continue on and add that into the recipe as well. I needed some, I didn't have any. Right, so I've added it to my week. So the first few things that it's going to ask for is some garlic, some onion and some ginger. Now you don't need to watch me weigh all that, so I'm just going to put that straight in. And just remember, these recipes will be sent to you as well, so you don't have to follow along at home, as they say. Okay, so that's the onion, garlic and ginger. And now olive oil. It's going to tell me to weigh it. I hate things that tell me to weigh olive oil. Oh, bit of a free pour. And now everybody's favourite thing. If you don't own a Thermomix, I'm sure your favourite, that's probably because your favourite thing is chopping onions. It's certainly not mine. So I'm just going to take 5 seconds now to chop the onion, ginger and garlic. And the next thing I've got is just the cumin seeds. Another great thing, being able to buy the whole spices means that they don't go off. I love being able to mill my own spices because before I had a Thermomix and I had to just buy the ground stuff, I'd end up using a tiny bit of it and throw it out. Somebody's laughing at me already. Okay. All right. So now that's going to cook for 10 minutes. As much as I love curry pastes and other, all types of curry, the other beauty of this one, actually I might just move away from the machine, but the other beauty of this one is that it actually doesn't use any pastes. It just uses the raw ingredients to flavour it. So the actual, the spices are what go in to season it and flavour it. But Linda sort of suggested that it would be a good idea, and it would obviously be really helpful to talk, while we're talking about curries, to also talk about curry pastes. So I don't know, tell me, does anybody actually buy curry pastes in the store? Do you have a favourite and, a rough idea of what it costs? I'd love to know. I should have probably done a little bit more research on this myself, but you're going to know. Probably my favourite one to make is the tandoori paste. And I love making the tandoori paste because the recipe on Cookie Dough actually has Kashmiri chilli, which is a really traditional Indian chilli. I've looked on the labels of the ones that you buy in supermarkets, and they have just, it just says chili powder, or I don't know what the 3-digit code is for chili powder, but it just seems to be straight chili powder. So I feel like the one that I can make is a lot more authentic. And Kashmiri chili is something that you can get at an Indian grocer or anywhere that probably stocks more than your, Coles range of spices. So lots of stores will have it. The other one that I make from a curry perspective a lot is garam masala, and that is just the spices that I've got in my drawer, probably that a lot of us have already got in our drawer: cinnamon, black pepper, cloves, that sort of thing. So I think it's probably, if I was to buy a jar of garam masala, it'd probably be what, $2-3 for a teeny weeny jar that might go off before I use it all. But if I use the Thermomix and the whole spices, I'm probably looking at a cost of making it for about a year of about $4, maybe less. And Leah, maybe if anybody's coming back with any curry paste prices, I'd love to know.
Yeah, so we have here the AM curry, if that's how you pronounce it, that popular brand.
Yes.
Curry paste is $3.50 to $6, depending on what size it is.
Wow.
Yeah, they are quite expensive. Tandoori paste. Yeah, so, I mean, look, they are really expensive. And not only that, the taste is not the same. When you make it fresh, it's just so much better, isn't it? It's all about the flavour.
During lockdown, I actually had a friend of mine, she lived in Canterbury, which was one of those areas that was a no-go. They couldn't get out, we couldn't get in. And she asked me to post some to her. She had actually, you know, she was quite widely travelled, and it's her favourite tandoori paste is the one that's on cookie dough. So, you know, they're really good quality and they're really, really authentic. Amazing.
Yeah,
I think Sharon and I and Deb during the lockdown, we had a cooking day and made a few different pastes and curries as well. But I was looking at one of the tandoori paste recipes actually online just before, and it was something like $12 for a jar of tandoori paste, and it was a supermarket. It was a supermarket version. So the fact that you get a much better quality of product for a much lower price, regardless of whether we're in tough financial times or not, you can't go wrong. And what's the interest-free repayment at the moment? Less than a jar of tandoori paste, I think.
Absolutely.
The current cost. Yeah. Tandoori $7. Somebody's $7. Yeah, that's a pretty good price, Diane. Favourite Indian curry paste from Anthea is tikka. I haven't made that one. But a really strong suggestion I would make is make sure that you label the jars. I think I'm going to remember what they look like, which makes the ginger nut biscuits really interesting.
Another thing I do, Anne-Marie, when I make the tandoori paste is I pop them into small Snap-Lock bags, the green Snap-Lock bags, and I make them in about 90 or 100 gram units, pop them in the freezer.
Oh, yeah.
So when I go and use tandoori in a recipe, even if it's just with some yogurt to coat some chicken and throw it in the oven, I just pull out one of those bags, let it defrost on the counter, which is really quick, and then stir it into whatever the dishes are. But then they're in small portions, and you don't have to worry about it sitting in the fridge because it's easy to grab out of the freezer.
Oh, that is such a great idea.
Make sure you label them. That's the other thing.
Definitely. Oh,
yes, because I've actually defrosted tomato paste that I've made, which I thought was tandoori paste.
Oh, yeah, it makes a delicious smoothie.
Yes.
The tandoori paste.
So another great thing to freeze them in is, those baby food freezer pods for baby foods, the ones that are slightly bigger than ice cube trays. They are awesome for freezing in that 90 gram portion.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Also, I like to buy chicken Marylands, break them down a bit, and put a bit of yogurt, lemon juice, salt, tandoori paste, and put them in the freezer. And it's just a really easy dinner. I mean, obviously we'd cook it first, but it's just something interesting to pull out of the freezer.
Yeah. And how are you going from timing there, Anne-Marie?
So that's still got about 3 minutes or so. So if you want to throw over to somebody else.
Yep. No, that's okay. What we might do is, Sharon, do you want to, Sharon, have you got a part of your recipe? You've got the nuts and the sauce and stuff that you need to make for your recipe. Do you want to jump on?
I can. So, I hadn't finished telling you that you can actually cook your rice in the whole bowl. So that one is what we call absorption method, and you use the rice cooker mode. Now, what I'm going to do or put into my poke bowl is I've got two options. One is the pork, which is just slightly fried with ginger and garlic. And then here I have sous vide salmon. And then what I have is bok choy. Now, I was a little bit frantic to do this class because a lot of vegetables are when you talk about being budget, a lot of things just blew my mind what I could use. So I actually found this baby wombok or Chinese cabbage. I bought a pack for $4.50 and I only used a quarter of it. So that's only about $1 something. And I just slice it up really thinly and it makes very pretty decoration by the curly part of the leaf. And then I put some, how do you call this? Cubes, baby cucumbers, just slice it up. And for color, I bought a whole corn and just slice, just took it out. And I love raw corn. So all this is raw. And just for color, again, I've got some tomatoes. And no poke bowl is without avocado. So avocado to give that nice creamy flavor to the dish. And that's it. So avocado was 99 cents. The most expensive was probably the corn because I used a whole corn, which was $2.20. So you have to see what's seasonal and what your family preferences in. Just put together what you like into a dish.
And you've got a sauce that goes with it, and some nuts and stuff. I'm
just going to put some. I top it up with some sesame seeds, and this dish has a hoisin sauce, but I'm actually swapping it out for a lovely miso glazed sauce because I'm not too keen on buying sauces from the bottle because I have a lot of allergies, so I have to be careful what I eat. So I've just made a miso sauce, which is just mirin, cooking wine, sugar, and a knob of butter.
Great. And I'm sure everybody wants that recipe now and the quantities.
Very, very easy recipe. And it's beautiful to glaze over salmon or any fatty fish because it just tastes like caramel.
Great, thanks. Hopefully that gave Anne-Marie her 3 minutes back and we can swap back over to Anne-Marie.
That was just choreography at its finest. Thanks, Sharon. Well-oiled machine. Okay, so the next thing, I'm just going to put in the spices now, which is basically chili powder, turmeric, garam masala, salt, and amchur, which is green mango powder. Again, you can get that in an Indian grocer. You don't actually need it. You know, if you left it out, that would be okay. It still works. You could probably use coriander in its place. It's a similar sort of a flavour. Yeah. Again, I just love that you can use spices that are really quite authentic. And then the tins of, I don't know, I always kind of laugh when they say chopped tomatoes. I maintain that I did not buy a Thermomix to then go on and chop tomatoes. So I'm going to go crazy and put them in whole. I'm not going to chop them. I think the Thermomix can take care of that.
Another good idea when it comes to chopped tomatoes, guys, is when you're in the supermarket and you see them reduced, try and grab them, especially the whole tomatoes. The whole tomatoes are a better format to purchase. The chopped ones have basically got all the dregs of the tomatoes out of the plants, out of the manufacturing plants. So always go for the whole tomato and try and buy your tins when they're on special. Because sometimes they're reduced to $1 or $1.10, $1.09. Go and get them all then, or get the larger volumes, which are I think 800, which are the double ones. But as Anne-Marie's pointed out, then go and do your chopping. There's no point in buying the chopped ones, which sometimes are a bit more expensive because they're chopped for you. And also they're not as nice. The ingredients inside are not great. All right. Well, I think, Anne-Marie, you've got some cooking time now, do you?
Yes, I do. Yes. So that's going to cook for about 10 minutes now. But what I will mention in terms of sustainability and using the whole product, even the humble tin of chickpeas. By now, I think everybody's heard the term aquafaba. So you can certainly use the brine of the chickpeas to also make meringues, which whip up absolutely beautifully in the Thermomix. If you do it manually or with any other type of, a blender, air quotes, it takes a whole lot longer, but the Thermomix will actually add the heating to it. So it's just a really good way. I mean, that's pretty good mileage for a $1 tin of chickpeas to be able to bust out a main meal and a pretty impressive dessert as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, maybe what I can do now is jump into my dish and we'll come back to you and Sharon with a final product at the end. All right. Over to me. Someone spotlight me. All about me. Hi, I'm back. All right. So the dish that I'm going to make now, as I said to you, is pumpkin based. It has got a meat component to it, but you don't need to do the meat component, and you can always sub that out with something else and another vegetable as well. Today I'm using a beef mince. In the recipe, it calls for a veal mince, and as I say, too expensive. Looked at the prices, not interested. Got myself a nice cheap cut of beef and some other bits and pieces that I had in my freezer. Now, don't rule this out, guys. In your freezer, I guarantee you've got one, chop in there or a piece of meat that you didn't use at a barbecue or something that's raw, and you've thrown it in the freezer. Get that out, partially defrost it, chop it into chunks, throw it in your Thermomix. Using turbo is going to be able to allow you to mince that to a consistency that you're after. So the mince that I've used today is a little bit of store-bought mince that I picked up because it was on cheap, and I also used a cut that I had in my freezer, defrosted it, chopped it, and added it to this as well. So that's using up the stuff that's sitting in the bottom of the freezer. You think, what am I going to do with that one steak or that one, piece of meat that was sitting there that, it's probably going to get that, what do they call it? Freezer burn in it if you leave it there any longer. So grab it, throw it into things like bolognese or dishes like this. So I've gone ahead with my particular dish. And when we share it with you, you'll notice also it talks about the pasta that they use is a tagliatelle. I haven't used tagliatelle. I've just gone in with some lovely penne, which I'm going to show you once it's cooked because it's just on my stove boiling at the moment. But yeah, so what I've done is I've already grated my Parmesan. I've chopped a couple of steps here that you don't need to see. I'm sure you've all seen Parmesan cheese in your Thermomix chopped. And I've also just sauteed off some, a small bit of onion, carrot and celery, which is in there. Okay, so I chopped and sauteed that. So I didn't think you needed to see that. What's going in now is my mince. So this recipe calls for about 400 grams. So that goes in, and a bit of sea salt. So that's going in as well. Okay, so black pepper, just grind that in. And again, look, with a lot of these dishes, it's not so much about what you're actually, the cut that you're using from a meat perspective. If it's seasoned really well and it's cooked really well, you're going to get a great result. So just remember that at the end of the day, everything can be cooked in the Thermomix. We had a lovely slow cooked lamb ragu over the last couple of days, which was beautiful, which, that was picked up on special, then chopped up and cooked for a couple of hours in the Thermomix using the slow cooking mode. So the TM6 has got a number of modes that some of you on the screen here may only have a TM31 or a TM5. The TM6 has got amazing high heat modes, slow cooking modes, a sous vide mode. I think somebody mentioned, Sharon mentioned that she sous vide her salmon, and various other modes. The other thing that we really like about it, and if you haven't heard yet, that the TM6 has also got a peeler mode, and that peeler mode enables you to wash your potatoes or any hard root vegetable. So getting your hands on one of these, which is, the girls will pop the link in the chat, but is also available on the Mix Shop, our blade cover peeler. So we'll wash your potatoes or hard root vegetables, peel them, take the surface off them, and then of course you can throw them in any of your casseroles, slow cooked dishes, you know, mash them and you get that wonderful result. I always said when that came out, it was a game changer for me. No more peeling of the potatoes. And I think you take too much when you peel off sometimes if you're using a knife or a peeler. This really just sort of takes off a thin layer of the skin and gives you a wonderful result. Okay, so this is going to cook for 8 minutes. So you might come back to me with this. After I've done that, I'm just going to throw in some white wine and a bit of onion. Today, I'm going to throw in some bacon. You can do anything like chorizo or speck or anything like that as well. So that's another component that's going to add flavour to this dish. And I've cooked up, sorry, not penne, rigatoni. I've done about 300 grams of rigatoni. These were on special that I saw at Harris Farm. So I grabbed a whole bunch of them today. And again, that's where you're going to save money as well, guys. When you see pasta packets and things like that on sale, you know, think to yourself, I'm going to use that. That's going to be able to stay in my pantry and, you know, I can extend that shelf life of something like that. It's not something that's going to sit in your fridge. So grab them when they're on special because that's the type of thing that's going to work in your favour. And this type of pasta, the rigatoni, works really good in any pasta-based dish. So what I might do is I continue going with this. And I'll and you can come back to me. My bread's cooled down though, so you might want to have a quick look at that. Would you like me to show you the bread? And as I say, Dutch oven is the way to go. So after we've taken it out of that dish, you're popping it into the Dutch oven, flouring the surfaces, flouring the top, getting yourself a sharp knife, something that you can cut. The Mix Shop has a really good scourer. Our kitchen toolkits are really sharp as well with really nice sharp knives, sharp edges. And we've got some really nice knives also in the Mix Shop, which are made from Celogen steel that you might want to like to get a look at. The other thing that the girls will share, maybe an image or a link to that's coming soon is, this is obviously not a Thermomix cast iron pot. This is just one of my old faithfuls that I've got. But Thermomix is actually just about to launch a brand new range of cast iron cookware. You will love them. They're in a gorgeous green colour and they've got some lovely features to them, which you can actually check them out. They're coming soon on the Mix Shop. That's what I would be using in the future. I haven't got mine yet. Absolutely, you know, can't wait to get it. But yeah, once I get it, I'll be using that. So my bread is now, it's okay. I think I can cut it and get a decent result from it. I'm just going to get my bread knife. I'll give my pasta a stir. I'm multitasking here, everybody. I've got my pasta on my stove top, even though I could have cooked my pasta in the Thermomix as well. And just, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off it, but you get a really, sort of the dusting of the flour, you get a really good result. And it's quite spongy to the touch. Still got air bubbles in it, and etc. I think you'll be quite surprised with this particular bread and the result. It's got a really nice flavour to it. I think personally, when I had the other one, I just sort of thought it could have used a little bit more salt. The recipe will give you is a base recipe. Think also with something like this that you can actually fold in some flavours as well. If you've gone to the shops and seen the sourdough with the olives or something else like that, try and experiment and fold some other flavours through this as well. A quick, easy solution where you don't actually have to go and get a starter. And I don't know about you guys, but most of the sourdough these days in the stores can anything around $6 to $9, I think. So this is something that, again, is going to be a cost saver and it's easy. You don't have to worry about a starter or anything like that. So we look forward to sharing that recipe with you in the email that we'll give you after the class. And the girls will, in the chat, will give you some links to the mix shop where you can potentially see what's coming as far as the cast iron pots are concerned. All right, well, why don't we come back to me? I think we can go over to Kay maybe, and she's going to showcase a wonderful dish for you. I'm just going to move this out the way, and we're going now into a really speedy dish, but a speedy bean and chorizo chili. So Kay, if you're ready to take it away, we can come back to me a little bit later.
Sure. Hi. So I'm doing the Speedy chili today. So it's, I chose this one because, again, most of the things are in your pantry. The only thing you've actually got to go out and buy really is your chorizo. So we'll just get started with it. We throw in, oh, actually, I need to mention, this is in the collection Meals for One. I'm doubling it. And when I double it, it actually feeds 4. Like it's not, it doesn't just feed one person, it easily feeds 2. So I'm doubling all the quantities here so that I can feed everybody. Okay, a bit of olive oil. No, I haven't got mine. Okay, my chorizo is now going in. Again, I said I've doubled it. 120 grams of chorizo. And then that is now going to just fry off. Okay, that's now going to fry off for 5 minutes while that's going. And then we're just going to add some tomatoes, which I'm using the Ardmona ones, but so they were, I did get them on special, $1.10 I think they were, but usually they are about $1.50 I think for that brand, but you can get home brand for I think about 60 cents. So you can make this a lot cheaper. I costed the entire recipe out, and for 4 people, you're basically getting a whole meal for just under $8, which is pretty good. I think that definitely falls into the on a budget category. I'm going to serve it with some rice. So I just made the rice just a little bit earlier before I started doing this. So the rice is all ready to go. So I'll serve it with the rice and probably some flatbreads. But that's a really quick and easy way of cutting out a meal to make it travel a little bit further for everybody. The flatbreads are simply just some bread flour, and instead of using yeast, you're using yogurt as your starter. And they're like a sort of a, not really a roti, more like a naan bread, sort of a flatbread. So, and I like to fry them in batter. So we can do them in oil, but I actually think they do come out a lot better in butter. So you just basically make the dough, takes seconds in your Thermomix, and then just break it up into little balls, make a little round thing, just flatten it out with your hand, pop it in the frying pan, and they're done in no time at all. So they're this is a really, really easy way of packing things out. So that's what we do there. So the flatbreads, as Linda was saying earlier about the bread, like I haven't made sourdough yet, but I do make bread very often, like a couple of times a week. And as she was saying, adding flavors to your bread is like, it's so easy to do. So the other day I made olive and garlic bread, and it came out perfectly. It came out really, really good. And that is, you know, they're expensive to buy. And of course, you make your own bread. House smells great. Everybody thinks you're a bit of a hero, really. So we don't realize how easy it is to do that. The other thing I'll be doing with this dish, the garnish is basically you just put a little bit of yogurt on the top. That is also something I make myself every week. So there's a few different recipes out there for the yogurt. You can either do it with milk powder in there, which will give you a firmer consistency, or you can do it without, and it's a little bit runnier. And there's also drinking yogurt recipes on there as well, because our TM6 does have a fermentation mode. So basically, all you do is you pop your milk into the jug itself. It will heat it up to, I think it's 37 degrees or something. Let it sit for a while. Then you pop it in the Veroma, which is the steaming attachment on the top. You pop that in, leave it there overnight, 10 hours. And when you wake up in the morning, you've got freshly made yogurt, which is just sensational. Just pop that in the fridge, and then you just need to remember to save a little bit to make your next lot, because otherwise you have to go and buy some more just to make the next lot. So always put a little bit aside just so that you're ready to go with your next, once you're ready to make it again. So this has just got a minute left to go, and then we will be popping in the other things. It's we're actually using black beans in this. You can use other beans, so if you haven't got black beans in your pantry, just put in, you know, kidney beans, whatever you want. I actually quite like the black beans. The other thing that you can do with this recipe is you can actually add some mince if you want to. You can use exactly the same recipe, add a little bit of mince in. Again, just pads it out a bit. You know, you don't have to use the chorizo. I like the chorizo. I buy a spicy one because I quite like that. The other thing that's going to go in here is the chipotle. I don't know if you know this, but this little pot, you literally use a teaspoon, so it lasts you for ages and ages. So it's just in the where the Mexican food is at Woolies. You don't have to go to a specialist shop or anything to buy it. It's very easily available, and it's quite spicy, but it's got a good spice to it. It's not a blow your head off type spice. It's just a really nice Mexican spice. So we'll be using that in this dish too. Okay. This is where we're going to put our chipotle in, and I quite like it, so I'm going to give it a generous. I'm actually giving it 2 teaspoons, even though it's just 1. Okay. And our tomatoes. Okay, so that's all gone in. Popping the lid on. Okay, so that's now going to go for 10 minutes. And that's just going to... Okay, so that's going to go for 10 minutes. Okay, so I guess we'll come back to me when that's done.
Yep, we can come back to you, not a problem. What I might do is I'll jump in and I'm just going to talk about a few steps that I've done in my recipe, and then we can come back to everybody else. All right, so I know we're jumping around a little bit today. It's just some of the dishes are quicker than others, so that's how we like to sort of flow. What I've done here is, as I said, this dish is a pumpkin-based dish. So I've had some chopped pumpkin, and with that mince has both gone in there. So the pumpkin and the mince are in there, and they're mixing. My pasta has come out of the pot of boiling water. I was keeping it warm in my thermo servers. So guys, if you haven't got a thermo server, the oval and the round, you can actually get your thermo servers just for hosting a cooking experience. So say you jumped on today with 2 or 3 friends and you're all watching from your own homes, that would count as a cooking experience for you to obtain some host rewards. So think about that next time when you jump on an online class. Ask your consultant to register you for some host rewards, or you may want to book us. And at the moment, we're doing a great menu for you, which highlights some lovely brunch ideas. One of the things in the recipe, and the girls might type in the chat, the recipes that we're doing, and we're running around talking to all our consultants and potential interested people in the Thermomix about these ideas. One is poached eggs. Another is a really lovely chutney and a relish. May I suggest to you guys, this particular brand, I'm not going to be close to the screen, but you might recognize the jar. When it comes to relishes and things like that, a lot of these relishes will retail somewhere between $5.99 to $9.99 in a very small jar. We're talking about 250 something grams sometimes. In that class that we, in that cooking experience or demonstration or whatever you want to call it. In an hour, we could sort of whip up 1 or 2 dishes, and one of the dishes would be a relish or a chutney, and showing you how you can save money again in that space alone. I do a little bit of a trick in our house, and I keep a lot of these jars, believe it or not. And when I make the relishes and things like that, guess which jar it goes into? It goes in the fridge. No one's the wiser, but I've actually done some cost saving there, and everybody thinks they're using that one. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is when it comes to green juices. Who's juicing in their Thermomix? Do you know how many people I come across and they don't realise that you can juice in your Thermomix? Some of the green juices and stuff that we make in the Thermomix are absolutely brilliant and huge cost savings. Anybody want to ask me how much I pay if I had to buy? These are reusable containers. This is actually a juice that I've made myself. But when I first got these, I've got my receipt from ages ago with my green juice, and I think it was about $8.99 or $9.99. I wrote it down anywhere, somewhere. Freshly squeezed juice. I just filter it in here, and away I go. Pop these in the fridge. Kids drink it. They wouldn't know the difference. But I've made them in my Thermomix, and so they like it because it's store bought, but it's not really. It's what mummy's made. So think about things like that as well. The juices and stuff are amazing. Maybe the girls can pop in a link to one of the green juices so you can see how quick and easy it is to make. All right, now with this dish, going back to my dish and my pumpkins and my pasta and bits, I got sidetracked when I saw the thermo server sitting there. I fried off a bit of onion and my bacon. As I said, you can use chorizo or anything like that. And in this Thermomix now, I've got my pumpkin and mince and everything. I mean, I know I'm not expecting you guys to all have 2 Thermomixes, but we're doing a cooking segment here, and it's a lot easier for me to just do it in 2 bowls, just so you can see how quick and easy it can come together. So I'm just adding that to it. So I like the idea of mixing all these flavors together as they're cooking, because I think it really sort of helps that process. Pumpkin otherwise, it's got quite a unique flavor, but can really absorb anything that it's cooked with. So think about sometimes some of those root vegetables that you've got and you think, oh, what am I going to cook with it to actually lift it? Sometimes a bacon or a chorizo or something like that can really lift the dish and will really sort of help you. And whenever I'm doing a bake, you know, if it's with bechamel sauce or tomato sauce or anything like that, always putting in something that's got a real punch when it comes to flavor. Not everybody can go with the chilies and the spices and stuff. So sometimes as simple as a bacon or a chorizo really works. What we might do while this is finishing cooking before I bring this all together is we might go back to the girls that we started with. So Sharon and Anne-Marie, either one of you girls ready to plate up your dish with your final ingredients ready to go?
I can. I'm ready. So I just wanted to make sure that that you know how to take your aroma off the bowl is by lifting the lid away from your face. Okay, so always lift it so that the steam goes on the opposite side. The other thing is you can use your aroma lid to catch the juices and the water that drips through. And then when you're opening again, away from your face, I'm doing back to front because my Thermomix is backwards. I just want to make sure. When you pick up your simmering basket, the spatula has a hook. You hook it up, lift it. When the rice is done, make sure you take it out immediately because the rice continues to cook and it expands. If you leave it sitting in here too long, it can be it can be difficult removing the rice. Immediately take it off. The lid comes over and you just pour it down. So that's what I wanted to show. I have a thermo server here. I keep the rice warm for up to 4 hours. Now I've prepared the salmon here. I've prepared, oh, can you see that? So this is the salmon. I put a bit of all the different vegetables on there. And this one is this is the pork. And I'm just about to do a vegetarian one. So I've got my bok choy in the middle. And then I've got my corn there. I'm putting in my Chinese cabbage or wombok and some cubes. Forgive me, I'm not sure how to pronounce this properly. And obviously I'm going to put some avocado because this is a vegetarian option. And because it's a vegetarian option, I also have my lovely miso sauce, which I'm going to pour on top. So. And then you can
make the miso sauce, Sharon.
Sorry?
Did you make the miso sauce?
Yeah, I just made it. And then you just garnish with a little bit of sesame seeds. And then I have 3 versions: vegetarian, a pork dish, and a salmon.
We need to bring the camera up closer to them. We can't really see them. I'd love to see them up close. They look so pretty.
Sorry. I'll just... Is that better? Okay. Sorry about that. So salmon, pork, and a vegetarian option. And the miso sauce to go on top. I won't put miso sauce onto the pork because the pork has got that ginger and garlic flavors. So you can just keep it simple as that. And that's a lovely mixture of cooked vegetables and raw vegetables. And when you mix it all up, it just comes together and it's beautiful. And that's a huge portion. For me, I couldn't finish that. I couldn't even finish half of this portion. So it depends on your family. I cooked 350 grams of rice. I still have some more left over after this 3 bowls. I think that's it for me. Do you have any questions?
That looks amazing.
Sharon, can I just ask you, the miso sauce recipe that you used, was it one on Cookie Do?
No, it's not. So
Okay.
it's very simple sauce. It's just 3 tablespoons of mirin, 3 tablespoons of Japanese cooking wine. And then what you have is half cup of this shiro miso. Shiro miso is a white miso, which is on the sweet side. And you have the mirin, and then you add sugar. Don't try to add fancy sugars, just add white sugar because that tends to sweeten it down. Other sugars might give it a bit of a sour taste. And then you just finish it off by putting a knob of butter on it and to melt. So you boil the vinegar and the wine with the sugar, melt it down, and then you just add the miso into it and the butter.
Fantastic. So we can make all of that, throw it all in, heat it up, put it all in the Thermomix, mix it up. How long would that last for, Sharon?
The sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can last. I guess you put it in your fridge. It can keep for a long time because it's got the vinegar in it and it's got miso. Miso can keep for months. Depends on the miso you buy. If you buy your homemade ones, don't keep it that long. But if you buy the store-bought ones, the store-bought ones tend to have something that can preserve it a bit longer. But it is a fermented product. So fermented products do last a long time. It can last anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, depending on the condition of your fridge or the way you store it.
Sharon, can you just tell us what the name of the sauces that the miso pastes that you've got there? What brand it is, please?
I don't know. Nico.
Maybe
Nico.
bring it up to the camera. Yeah.
So just look for shiro miso. There are lots of brands out in the market. So just make sure you get shiro. And shiro is a white miso. And it's on the sweet side, or the sweet miso, they call it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bon appetit, and I hope you enjoy.
Thanks, Sharon. I think that's amazing. Anne-Marie, are you ready?
Yep, sure am. Yeah, my suggestion when you go into Asian grocers, this is what I do anyway, is I just show them photos of things and look at them helplessly, and they just show me, they point to where it is. Yeah. Or take Sharon with you. It's very helpful. So I have finished my chickpea curry. Now, again, as a single gal, I don't have the family size. Well, I do have, but I don't use the family size thermo service for that. I actually love my little baby one. Not having kids means that I don't eat at 5:30. I tend to eat at 7:30. So I've got some heating in there, but so that you can actually see it. Now I'm going to try tilting the laptop rather than picking up the dish. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It looks perfect.
Yeah, so that's great. It's really hearty. It's just delicious. It actually, I kind of think the visual of it doesn't do it a huge amount of justice, but it was one that somebody introduced me to. This was actually in the first, somebody was talking about the TM31 before, and this was in that first iteration of the Indian cookbook for the TM31. If you're old enough, you might remember the spiral bound one. It was in that. And when they did a survey to say which one, you know, which recipes should we keep when we do a new cookbook, and this one unfortunately didn't make it, but it's what I love about Cookie Do is that this one obviously made it in the UK because it's on the UK platform of Cookie Do, and it's just amazing. I actually used to do a catering gig for a movie production company, and they all got quite addicted to this. I think they were just quite surprised at how good it could actually taste. So I highly recommend it. And I believe that the purchase incentive this month as well for people that don't own a Thermomix, your Cookie Do subscription gets, it's normally 6 months included, but it goes, you get a bonus additional and you end up with 18 months of Cookie Do. So it's definitely well worth it. And with how many recipes are on there now?
80,000 or something.
Oh my God.
80,000.
Divide that by 18 months. I don't know, but you know, there's not a lot of time, right? You've got to get onto it. So yeah, 18 months of Cookie Do is a pretty good offer. It's so practical and there are so many amazing recipes on there, including this one. So
Great.
But that's mine. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. I think we've got time to get back to Kay now, and Kay's got her dish finished. Kay, you ready to go?
I am ready to go, yeah. So mine's finished. So as I said, I had made my rice earlier, so that was staying warm in my thermoserver. So that has now been plated up into there. Can you see that? Again, I'm not sure it really shows it much. It does taste delicious. It smells delicious. The recipe does suggest that you put coriander all over it to make it look lovely, but I have someone in my house who absolutely hates coriander with a passion. So there's no coriander going into mine, but I am going to put some yogurt on it just to show you there. So this is the yogurt recipe that you make in the thermoserver. So it's a nice firm yogurt. You probably want, maybe not. So I'm just going to put some of that on the top there, and that will get stirred through. And then it's done.
Yeah.
Yum, I'm coming over. That's really great. Thank you. And well done, Kay. I just want you to all know Kay's sort of newish to the team, and this is the first time she's done a cooking class live like this. So let's give her a big thumbs up. I think she did a great job. So well done, Kay. Well done. All right, so I'm going to finish off my dish, and then we're just going to give you an opportunity for some questions if you would like to hang on. So let me go back into the kitchen and I'll just show you what that pumpkin bake ends up doing when it comes together. So you're not going to see the finished result tonight, unfortunately, but I will let you know that it is a great one, but you can sort of get the idea. I've now cooked in here the mince and the pumpkin, and I've added the bacon and onion and all the rest of it. As we said before, I've got my pasta that's come out of my pot. So you just basically drop this in. There's some mozzarella chopped up between the noodles. That's something else that I didn't mention before, but I've just done that. And then I'm going to make sure that this is nicely covering all the rigatoni. Smells great. Then, you know, doing your own parmesan. So grab parmesan cheese, chop it in cubes, blitz it in there, you know, on speed 10, and you get a beautiful powdered parmesan. Sprinkle that over the top between this, the parmesan, and a nice pecorino or reggiano or something like that. A really good one, I would actually recommend. Sprinkling that on the top, the mozzarella inside, the pumpkin and mince or whatever alternative that you want to make. And then that can just go in the oven. It won't take long, 200 degrees for about 15 minutes. And there's a huge family meal for you. I like to serve this with one of the side salads or something like that, or with my beautiful sourdough bread. But yeah, it's a real, think about when you're making any of the ragouts or any of the sauces or anything like that, how you can stretch those things. Even things when you're looking at the chicken, creamy chicken curry and things like that, if you've tried those recipes, there's lots of sauce left in that. That's a lot of liquid. You can double that recipe and add more chicken into it. But if you've got lots of sauce left over, don't throw those sauces out. Boil up some pasta, mix it through, fold in some cream or something like that, and that turns into a fabulous pasta bake for you. And again, that's where you're going to save money. They're larger volumes and they're really going to give you that return on investment from that one dish, you know, extending it out. So we've given you a few tips along the way, how you can save some money. We've shown you a couple of great dishes that will really sort of support you, you know, maybe this week, try a couple of them. The email will come out to you this evening. For those of you that wish to stay on, please do, and we'll do a bit of a Q&A and see how we can help you a little bit further. Maybe if you're staying on, we can even do a quick tour through Cookadoo and show you how you can find some of those filters to do some budget-friendly cooking as well. But thank you for your time. Thank you to my presenters, Sharon, Anne-Marie, Kay, and thank you to my chat moderators, which Leah and Anthony, Anthea, not Anthony. Thank you so much for all your support and getting this meal, these meals out to you and showing you how quick and easy we can get some dishes out to you in your kitchen made in the Thermomix.
Sorry, Linda, I just wanted to check before we all went, is there a poll at all for this one or no?
I'm not sure if I've got it set up because I'm using Teresa's. Let me just have a quick look. I'll see if I can. Good question. Here we go. I'll see if it works. If you all get a chance, if that's popped up on your screen and you'd like to answer it, yeah, that'd be great. If you'd like to answer it, that would be fantastic. But as I said, we do have all of the recipes coming to you via links in the email. The other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to notify you about a couple of dates coming up. We've got some live classes that are hitting our Waterloo Experience Centre. So you may like to join us again for some face-to-face cooking classes. We're really excited to be able to bring them to you. It's been a while since we've been doing some face-to-face classes. So I know I'm, for one, I'm really excited to be able to present in that space. But don't forget to hit up your consultant if you want to see some of these new dishes as far as the new demo menu is concerned. And also that gives you that wonderful opportunity to get yourself, you know, some host rewards as well. So, you know, it's wet, it's miserable. I think it's going to rain all week. Maybe hit up your consultant for a quick cooking demonstration, either via Zoom or face-to-face, and benefit from some free gifts as well. So was there anything in the chat, guys, that I need to be aware of?
I just want to mention, has anyone discovered box divvy as a source of getting your fruit and vegetables? If you haven't, just Google box divvy. I've put it in the chat. And it's I've been doing it for about not quite a year now, but it's a really cheap way of getting fresh produce, seasonal produce directly from the farmer and bypassing the supermarket. So not only is it good value, but it's really good quality, and it's a really nice community. So you find a local hub to join, and once a week you'll place an order and then you'll go and pick it up. Some offer deliveries as well. So definitely have a look and check it out.
Yeah, no, great point. I do box divvy, and that's where you're saving heaps of money as well. Straight from the farmer, reduced prices, and excellent quality and quantity. What I'll do is I'll pop a link in our email that goes out as well. Thanks, Anthea, for reminding me with that one. All right, well, I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll just open it up to a chat, whoever's staying on, if you wish to ask us some questions. For those of you that are watching the recording, thank you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll join our YouTube channel and watch some more of our classes. We look forward to seeing you next time. For those of you that are staying on, just hang for a second.